Hey there, everybody, and welcome to episode 10 of Kingdom Culture, where we talk about real life struggles, the pursuit of God in our process, overcoming our past, and becoming the sons and daughters God created us to be. I'm your host, Kara, and I'm going to start with this statement tonight. Change can be hard. It can be scary. It can come with uncertainty and can challenge your confidence of what you know or think you know. Change can be overwhelming and it can come suddenly or it can unravel over time. But change can also be exciting and refreshing. It can be good and necessary. Either way, no one can escape the fact that change is just a part of life, whether we like it or not. And at one time or another, we all experience the pain of adjustment. As it's been, and it probably will continue to be, this episode is brought to you by my life. The idea for this episode came together last week as I had a few different things happen. If you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, then you know that I'm in the middle of my first ever bulk. I know I talk about this a lot, but it really does affect so many different parts of my life on a daily basis and has changed how I see things, myself, life, and even other people. This was something that I definitely did not expect from this experience, but that's probably a different discussion for a different episode. And if you've watched any of my episodes, on YouTube or my videos on YouTube or my Facebook page, then you know that I also have braces. Now that I've said those couple of things, here's what I want you to understand for where this idea came from and how the Holy Spirit opened my eyes to really see this whole concept come to life, which I really love. And I think it's just so cool. Okay, so I'm in my first week of my last month of my bulk, and I've experienced a lot of changes over the past couple of months, which helps me make my points today. When I first started, my body had to adjust. I was eating a lot differently than I usually do, and I was also eating more than usual. All of a sudden, I was eating rice and potatoes and granola and oats and pasta and sourdough bread like it was my job. My body responded, and for a bit, I was rather uncomfortable, as you might imagine. It wasn't easy, and I didn't feel awesome. You would think that eating a lot of food is easy, and in some regards it is, and it's super fun, but at the same time, it does take a toll, and it takes time for your body to adjust to that new type of lifestyle. I felt bloated a lot. I felt heavy, kind of tired. But as my body adjusted, it did settle down and I started to gradually put on weight and muscle. I started to see that the weight that I was pushing and pressing and lifting in the gym was starting to increase at each and every workout. And my energy level began to even back out as well. And as my metabolism has fired up and adjusted to the new calories and macros over time, I've added more fuel to the fire, as my coach says. And each time we've done that, my body goes through a period of adjustment. And I'm literally experiencing this right now. Like I mentioned, I'm in the first week of my last month. We just increased my calories again, and I'm sitting at just under 2,400 calories a day. Never in my life have I intentionally eaten or consumed that much food in one day on a daily basis. In the past, that would have just terrified me, but now I really do see the benefits. Anyway, this week has been rough. My body is really feeling it, and I can honestly say that today was the first day that I felt uncomfortable. Like, where I felt like I didn't feel great even in my clothes. They felt tighter. They felt more, I don't know. It just wasn't how it's been feeling the last few weeks. Now, I know also that I'm holding a lot of water, and so that's one reason why I feel really bloated and heavy. But with those things happening tonight, I PR'd my bench press tonight, and I pushed out 3 sets of 5 at 95 pounds. So I know that I'm growing. My muscles are getting bigger and stronger. My body is filling out and getting a little rounder, but that's because I'm building muscle underneath. And in a couple months, all the hard work I'm putting in right now, it will be revealed when I cut. What I'm doing right now is under the surface work. This brings me to my first point. Change and adjustment yields growth in your life. Sometimes it's not even something that you realize is happening until later when it's revealed in a different season. And growing can be hard, can be painful, challenging, uncomfortable. But when you push through all that and you keep going forward instead of falling back into the comfort of what you've known before, you'll eventually see that growth sprout out later when the time is right. So key number 1, adjustment brings growth. Last week, I went to the orthodontist for my first adjustment for my braces. I got them back in November, and so I've had them for about 2 months now. What's really cool is I've already started to notice that my teeth are shifting. When people ask me when they find out that I have braces, they say, "Were your teeth really that messed up?" Or they'll say, "Why did you get braces? Your teeth were totally fine." Well, the funny thing is, now that I have my braces and my teeth are shifting, that process is beginning to reveal how out of alignment they really were. And now that they're shifting, I'm starting to see the results of that misalignment, which will require more work beyond just braces to create the smile that I'm after. The shift is exposing other areas that need attention. It's revealing other issues that need to be taken care of in order to have the outcome that I desire. As my doctor continues to adjust my braces in order to tweak my teeth and get them back in a proper alignment, it is creating other changes that I didn't expect. I'm constantly aware of them. I have to consider what I eat, so that's different. I have to constantly brush my teeth, which is different. I had to put wax on my brackets after an adjustment because as my teeth shift, those changes create irritations on the inside of my mouth that I'm just not used to. But the whole reason I got braces was because I wanted to change the way that my teeth looked. And this brings me to my second point. Adjustment brings change in your life. My teeth were something that over time were a growing issue for me, and I felt really self-conscious about them. I didn't want to smile or laugh really big because I felt uncomfortable. Unless I was really comfortable around you, I probably wasn't going to do that. I know those things probably sound silly and maybe even just trifling, but it's something that really kept me from living confidently. I remember right after I got them just thinking like, "Oh, what did I do? These are awful." But I had to remind myself that the reason I got them was because I wanted the change that they would bring at the end. Straight teeth and a gorgeous smile. And yes, this process is bringing up other things that I didn't expect, which I could be overwhelmed by, but I'm choosing to look at it as a part of the adjustment, a part of the change, and part of the process. And honestly, I am so grateful for the opportunity to be able to even do this for myself so that I can have the change that I desire. And that leads me to key number 2. Adjustment brings change. On Christmas this past year, I decided to hit the trail early. It's a tradition that I started in Christmas of 2020. And I've climbed the Manitou and Incline and run down Bar Trail tons of times, but I've never actually hiked up Bar Trail before, and I really wanted to do that. So since the weather was great, I got on my cute Christmas outfit to hike, and all the things I needed were packed in my pack, and I took off, and I got on the trail, and I was like so pumped to be able to do that for Christmas morning. And It was also something that I was looking forward to so much because I love to hike. I hike so much, but because I'm bulking, see, I told you it literally affects everything. Since I'm bulking, I can't hike right now as much as I usually do. Well, I'm not really doing any cardio at all right now. So this was like a hike I was really looking forward to because I haven't been able to do it in a while. So anyway, I started to ascend, and as I got higher and higher up on the trail, I got into more and more tree cover and more fresh snow. The wind started blowing and it got really, really cold. And I've suffered in the past from cold weather injuries with my hands. And so it seriously affects the dexterity of my hands to the point of them being like non-functioning. And as I hiked, I was getting to that point. Despite having on warm gloves, I couldn't open my water. I couldn't unclip my backpack strap. And my sweater was bunched up in the arms of my jacket. And I couldn't grip the material to pull it back down again to make it comfortable to wear. I was starting to get to a point where I really was not enjoying the experience. And I decided to turn back at mile 6 because I knew that if I kept gaining altitude, that my hands were only going to get worse, not better. And while I was super bummed that I didn't go farther, I wanted to be wise and honor my body so that I didn't actually injure myself and create issues for me later. Well, for the next several days, I started to notice that my left hand was acting a little bit funny and it was experiencing numbness and weakness. Now, this is something that I have dealt with in the past, and it stems from an old injury and some carpal tunnel issues, but I do believe that it's exacerbated by the cold weather. So I don't know if that hike necessarily helped me a whole bunch in that area, but I did start to notice that my hand was causing me issues. And over the next week, I started to notice that it was affecting how I was able to lift in the gym. And so I took off a couple days from working out, and I went to go see my friend who is also my chiropractor. And he talked to me about what he thought was going on and explained that he thinks it's something that was from a long time ago that's just being exacerbated now, that's going to take maintenance, starting with weekly chiropractic appointments to kind of get me back in alignment and to relieve some of that tension in my spine, which is going to relieve the nerve in my neck that affects my arms and my shoulders and my hands. So all of those things have to be readjusted and realigned in order to create health in my body. So when he adjusted me, I felt so much better, but I was also pretty sore for the next couple days. And my body was experiencing relief from all that pressure from the subluxation and the compression in my spine. But that release brought relief, but it also created soreness as I healed. And this brings me to my third and final point. Adjustment brings healing. Spine health and being in alignment makes your entire body function better, properly. And when it's out of alignment, your body suffers, your performance suffers, even your perspective suffers. You overcompensate without even realizing, which only exacerbates and compounds issues. And over time, you get used to functioning with the dysfunction. You treat it as normal and you just adjust to the pain of dysfunction. And until you get an adjustment and you are realigned, you don't even notice how out of whack you are, besides experiencing the symptoms of pain and discomfort that being out of alignment brings. When the spine is unhealthy or out of alignment, it affects every aspect of the body. I know this firsthand. And this brings me to key number 3. Adjustment brings healing. Spine health is important to overall wellness because everything in the body branches off the spine. It's just like it says in John chapter 15, how God is the vine, the spine, and we are all the branches, the extremities of the body. That's why it's so important to be in alignment, first with God and then with ourselves and others. And we must stay in alignment with his Spirit so that he can guide us. Holy Spirit provides insight and wisdom that we wouldn't otherwise know. And so this is why it's so important that we bring all things to God first. He can give us insight and clarity. He can help us walk through the pain in our lives in a way that puts us back into the right alignment with him. He can help us recognize the things that are out of order, broken, or misaligned in our lives. And through his miraculous grace and loving kindness, he brings us healing and wholeness by bringing us back to himself. In this season, I believe God is calling his children back to himself so he can place and position us where he desires us to be. I believe he's calling us to surrender, to be known, to find peace and healing through refinement and preparation. I believe he's going to release his children this year to begin walking in purpose and to begin answering the call of identity. But we must be willing to go through the pain of adjustment from old to new, to allow those things that don't fit or no longer belong to fall away or be removed through the cleansing of our hearts and the renewing of our minds. We must be willing to come into alignment with his will, no matter the cost or how crazy it looks or how certain we feel about how it'll all work out and how it'll all come together. We must be willing to trust his will and trust his ways. We must be willing to trust his plan. We must be willing to grow. We must be willing to change. We must be willing to heal. Until next time, be blessed.